On Into the Room, be coachable, teachable, trainable, and post your city and state where you're catching this information from. On today, I greatly appreciate knowing exactly where this information is reaching out in these internet streets. So today we're actually covering tutorial number 14, where we are discussing GHL surveys, okay, and how you can get feedback and data collection from those who are attending your speaking, the EPs that you are engaging with, the audience members, and different areas such as that. So if you're an emerging speaker who wants to understand your audience better and improve your presentations based on real feedback, then today we are actually creating a survey inside of GHL so that you guys who are brand new to this era, to this arena, to this genre, this niche, this service can gather valuable insights. Okay. So we've built systems to capture leads and communicate with them. Now we need to understand what they really want and how we're performing. Okay. So surveys will help you understand your audience's biggest challenges, identify the most requested speaking topics, gather testimonials and success stories, improve your presentations based on feedback, and you can discover new speaking opportunities. Okay. So today we're going to set up the structure for the very first essential survey, and that is audience interest. Okay. And this really is for the prospects. We also have included in your handy dandy checklist the availability to set up a post event feedback as well as a topic research feedback. Okay. And so, based on what it is that you're putting out, you're looking to get feedback in. This survey is going to help you understand what topics your prospects want to hear about. All right. And so, pulling up our handy dandy checklist, let's pull that up first, just so you guys can get a glimpse of the amazing options that you have available to you. Let me go ahead and share screen here so that you guys can see that. Share screen, the entire screen, share. And let's pull that onto the screen for you guys. So here we are having a look at specifically the actual tutorials that are left for us to cover publicly inside of the YouTube channel that you guys may be catching this information on. And if you have not had the opportunity, definitely look down below. Subscribe to the channel, select the notification bell so that what can happen? You can get alerts. We want you to be able to get alerts from the information that's being shared out to you. Yay. Yes, absolutely. So that you will know when this information is actually being posted to the community. You can actually go inside of the Brand U community. That's community.martinabrityelverton.com. This is where you're able to gather a lot of your information, your tools, your tips, your tricks, all that good stuff directly here inside of the community. But you also may not have notifications set there as well. But you should be receiving emails via the newsletter option or the tag that's been placed on your account so that you know when new tutorials are being added. So while we have a complete list of 21 tutorials that cover the entire GHL platform that's offered to you, specifically what's left that will be posted live are the surveys, the social media automation, membership communities, and courses, just to give you a quick understanding of what remains. Okay. And so, for the purposes of what we're showing you on today, you need to know that you do have a handy dandy checklist that is available for you to be able to go through and do each of the steps. I don't just give you the information, I ensure that you actually know how to use the information, specifically to how exactly do you go about utilizing the GHL platform, specifically toward your speaker business, what you're trying to set up, or what you're having set up for you if you have actually chosen the done for you option. More about that over inside of the agency. But here's your handy dandy checklist just to let you know where I will be going through these steps from. And once you get inside the community and you download your own checklist, then you'll be following along on your own checklist to ensure that you're doing this in a systematic way. So again, if you have no earthly idea what I'm talking about, I don't know where you have been this entire tutorial series for us three up to about number 14 or 15, and you still do not yet have your own GHL account, go over to ghl.martinabrityelverton.com, grab your account, hop inside your account, open up your account and navigate along your checklist with us, okay? So when the survey is initiated, it is going to again help you understand what topics your prospects want to hear about because they're going to submit this information to you. But they cannot submit this information to you if you have not yet set it up in a way for them to do so easily, okay? And so the best way for them to do so easily is to actually complete the survey that you set up. So you're going to go inside of your dashboard, you're going to navigate to the left panel here, and you're going to see on the left-hand side, it says go to sites, here's sites, and then look at the top, it says survey. You're going to go into the builder area for your survey. Once you select that, that's going to bring you here to your page. Remember, you have a brand new account. This is blank. This is absolutely blank. You do not see the demos or the currently active surveys that I'm utilizing inside of the agency, okay? So when you open yours up, you're going to have to look up here to the top right-hand corner, and you're going to have to click Add Survey. When you select Add Survey, you are going to utilize Go from Scratch for the purposes of this. Sure, you are available to go down the rabbit hole, and it's a positive rabbit hole, but it's a rabbit hole nonetheless. You're going to be able to go down this rabbit hole, and you can select templates, so should you choose. But for the purposes of today, we're going to actually start from scratch and we're going to say create it. Once you select to create it, it's going to open you up directly inside of the survey and it will be blank. And you need to name it, okay? The very first thing you need to do is name it. But before I jump too far into that and naming it, let me flip back over here to your checklist so that you can see a specific part that I don't want you to miss. And I go over this each and every tutorial so that you guys can understand I am being repetitive for a reason. You must pre-plan. You must pre-plan so that you can make this entire process for yourself easy. Again, you're going to define the specific goal for each of the surveys. Now, I've given you templates, and I can give you a rabbit hole of templates, as you see over here on the left side of this checklist that I'm giving you for you to utilize. But define what your specific goal is for each of the different survey types that you're going to utilize. Ensure that you've identified which target audiences and what their motivation will be to respond. Plan, survey, distribution, methods, and timing. That means how you're going to distribute it, whether it's email, newsletter, blog post, SMS, okay, and timing. Are you going to do it every day, every week, every month, okay? If you're going to do it immediately following a speaking gig, or if you're just going to do it randomly, again, make sure that you're also researching the industry benchmarks to ensure that what you're requesting actually matches with best practices that are out and about. Okay. Once you do that, then you're available to have a general idea. I suggest you grab an extra sheet of paper or flip this checklist over and draw yourself some lines, okay? Draw yourself some diagrams if you need to, but go ahead and pre-plan as much as you can so that your strategy is actually operational and customized for you. Now, again, if you're having this process done for you or you're doing this along with the agency, there are questions that we ask to be able to map this out before we move this far down this beautiful rabbit hole, okay? Now, also, your survey platform and setup access. Again, you want to make sure you go to ghl.martina@yelverton.com. Go ahead and open up your app, sign up for your app, get your 14-day free trial, start back at tutorial 1 so that you will have all of the other added components that you need in place before you get to the survey tutorial, okay? And then you will be able to follow along with navigating to the sites, to the surveys, and moving forward with setting up these other formatting options, understanding logic and branching features and all of that, and testing and all of that. All of that will be more along the lines of what we do. But specifically what we're focusing on right now is the speaker topics interest survey, the interest survey. All right. And so let's verify back over here that I am on point with where I am in your tutorial. Yes, so speaking topics interest survey. This is what we're setting up. So when you're looking at your design survey questions and you're comparing what we have here in the checklist, these are the ones that we're going to utilize for this particular interest survey. All right. That way you're available to copy directly from here the questions, the topics, the answers, however, what you're going to use. All of this right here is how you're going to copy, paste, and set up your survey with ease. Now, if your customized questions are completely different than the ones we have here, then you're going to have to manually type your questions in so that you can set up any of the responses based on what you're looking to have happen. I've set up this checklist for you to have a template to follow. Again, you can customize based on what you're needing. Okay. So this is the audience interest survey that we're creating here. All right. Let's jump back over into our form here. So we've already named it Speaking Topics Interest Survey, okay? And for the purposes of what I'm doing, I like to type demo so I can find these out easier, find these later and make any other specific customizations based on what I'm using it for versus what I'm showing you the tutorial for, okay? So now in the survey design questions, what we're going to look at is the different questions and what we're needing based on our checklist, okay? So the first thing that we're looking at is question number 1. Now, mind you, if you already have a template set up similar to other templates that we have, I'll see if I can grab one to be able to show you that as an example. And I'll probably go add the assessment template to be able to show you in real time here. Let's see, let's go back out of here. And let's go into the sites. Let's go into the surveys and into the builder. And let's grab one of the other ones. Survey 12 demo is the one that we have open. Let's use the simple assessment. Let's try using that one and see if that one will assist you. All right. So one of the things that I have set up is before they jump over into immediately assessing for this particular simple speaker assessment that I actually have an image up here. I let them know the reason or the purpose for the survey, and I give them an estimated time that it's going to take them to complete it so that they can determine whether or not now is the time they want to complete the survey, as well as letting them know that all their responses are confidential, XYZ, and then they can move into the summary format. Okay. Now, this is for me, a more seasoned speaker that knows, the audience or the nature of the individual completing the survey. I like to prerequisite them so they can know, yes, now is the time. It is the best practice, for me to be able to complete this survey right now. You're not going to have that as a brand new person. You may not know that as a brand new person. So you may want to go ahead and jump into formatting your quick summary questionnaire with no prerequisite images or anything like that. Okay. So that's the difference between a seasoned professional and the one we set up for you through the agency versus you jumping in here DIYing. You can still get in here DIY, set up your information as your new emerging speaker career, have everything set up, structured the way that you need to have it, and still be perfectly within your level of professionalism by having a simplified survey initially. That's fine. That's great. And that is what you want to do. Okay. So the first question that we're going to ask is your biggest leadership challenge right now. This again is for the prospect or the audience interest. Okay. If you're looking at your handy dandy checklist, you're going to go to question number 1 and you're going to grab this question from right here. You're going to right click and you're going to copy it. This checklist is telling you to use an open text field for detailed responses. Set this as a required question and then add helpful placeholder text. So what specifically that means when you're looking at your checklist is you're going to look on the left-hand panel over here and you're going to scroll down until you find a customized open text field. So that means when you're looking on the left-hand side, you're saying, do I want to have an open text field similar to this? Meaning I drag that into here and it's going to ask the question up here. You can have it add the question in the text box here, similar to that, or you can not have it add that up here. And you can actually have it added here in the label box where it says, what is your challenge right here? All right. And then for the purpose of that, you have them be able to answer here. Now, what that meant by placeholder text, you actually can go to placeholder text and you can say, please answer here or something like that. That's what it means by placeholder text. All right. And then if there's anything more you would like to say, like keep this character count to or something like that, you can add that below here and you can say character space unlimited or something like that. Okay. Now this is the option, the various options that you'll have on that question so that when they're previewing it, they see, give it just a moment to show up. They see the first survey question as, what's your biggest leadership challenge? Please answer here. They know to type into this box and you're letting them know character space is unlimited. All right. So that's what that would look like. And so you want to continue through your checklist the way that it has been indicated on your checklist for question number 1, 2. All right. You can add business context questions, question number 3, question number 4. Include any type of source tracking for this one in question number 5. And then at the end, we're going to configure the thank you message and all of that. So you want to go through and add each one. So that was question number 1. And question number 2, you're asking specifically what topics would be most valuable for your team. This is again coming off of your handy dandy checklist. But this one is saying use a multiple choice format so that we can add in the various options that are here. What again that means is when you're looking over here on the left hand box, not the multi-line, but we're saying the multi drop down or the multi check box. Okay, so let's see what our checklist requested. It said a multiple choice format. So that means you either want them to be able to use the radio buttons and choose what more than one, which typically you can only choose one, but I'm going to suggest the checkbox format, giving them options of leadership development, team communication, change management, conflict resolution, and maybe an other, and then of course allow multiple selections. So again, let's show you what that looks like. Coming over here, we're going to select the multiple choice option. So we could have single drop down, multiple drop down, check boxes, or radio. Typically, like I said, radio button only allows one option, and our directions say multiple options, okay? So you want to go ahead and pull the checkbox in. Once you pull the checkbox in and now selected, now you're available to add your question here. There is your question, and now you're available to select your different options. Going over here to your options, now you're available to check that checklist. And from that checklist, you're available to pull in each of these individual. So we'll copy that one, paste it there. We'll go down to number 2. We'll copy this one, paste it there. We'll go down to number 3. We'll copy this one, paste it there. We'll add 2 more options here, which will be conflict resolution and other. So there are 2 different ways we could format other. For the purpose of this one, we're going to go ahead and just say other, and we're going to leave it at other. Allow multiple selections means that when they are completing this, now you see you have all of those options there. You're asking them, yes, as a required, please make sure that they submit some type of answer here. And again, you want them to say, you can put down here in the short label, any that multiple choice or any that, oops, did I pull it up? Yeah, allow multiple selections, include multiple answers, or select any that, apply or something like that. So here in the short box, you can say, select all that apply, something like that. Okay. And again, we also did leave the option for an other setting. So sometimes when you have that option for an other setting, you want them to actually type something into a box, what that other option is. And so if you go over here, let's see if I can locate that under the input field. Gotta find it. Sometimes I get a little turned around with this option. I want to say save so I don't lose any of my work. Select all that apply, checkbox, yes, yes, yes. Options, I put it in there, yes, yes, yes. Spread the columns, we're good to go there. So again, to get a more precise answer for this area that you have selected here, when you select other, you also are available to add an additional text field where you can simply say supply the other adding, and you can say supply other here. And then that will allow them to type in the other answer. That's one of the ways that you can do it. Okay. So in addition to that, your handy dandy checklist is also saying, again, include other with a text field for custom responses there. So next we're going to add the business context question. So one of the ways that you can separate your questions, as we said, we have design opening questions here. And this is how you can name each of those areas here for this specific first block of text here in slide 1, you're available to select your settings and you can name that one design opening questions. When you add your second set of questions from your handy dandy checklist, these are the business context questions. So you can copy that information there and you can actually name these and separate them per slides so that you can make your survey appear much shorter and much more organized. Okay. And so for that one, we're going to move into our third set of questions here, which is what format would work best for your organization. It's saying again to choose multiple choice, but allow a single selection only. So for this one, you could use a radio button for that one. Okay. And so here in the next one, we're going to go down and let's select to use a radio button for that one. When we select the radio button, you see we still have options, but typically you're only allowed to choose one. So let's add our question there, go back over to our checklist. And for our multiple choice, we have keynote for an option. Go up here to our options. We have keynote for an option. We have workshop for an option. We have training series for an option. We have virtual presentation for an option. There is no other option section for this one specifically, okay? However, you could allow other options. So this is a different format where if you turn this one on, it would have an other option and they would be able to click in. But again, allow a section for one only, and again, include a brief description of each format. So should you choose to say, hey, what specifically a keynote is, what specifically a workshop would be, what specifically a training series, and the same for a VP. Okay, so that's question number 3. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this and sit that in a clipboard so I can click back over here. So now that we've done this, you see this is what the format looks like. They're only allowed to choose one. Okay, and again, we do have the option turned on here for allow and other option. So I want to show you really quickly what that will look like. Please, other option, allow other option. We want to save that one. All right, and when we go out to see what that looks like, as soon as it finished saving, if we refresh this one, we now see that we have one set of surveys here that we would need to click. So if we click next, it's going to ask us for an answer, all right? And so we're just going to say other for this one, and then we can supply other there, and then we can move to the next part of this. So now you see where you have what format would work best for your organization. We're going to select workshop. However, if we were to select other, we're available to supply and answer there, and then we will be submitting the form. But we're not finished, so we're not going to submit. But that is one way where you can get your other option in there. But remember, in the previous one, we wanted them to have the ability to select multiple things. So that is why we chose that, because again, in a radio button, you're only allowed to typically select one. Okay, so let's move into our question number 4, which is still under the business context questions here. And let's go ahead and pull in per our information. It's saying use a drop-down format for privacy. Okay. So let's go over here. Let's look at what we have over here. And we're going to say use a drop-down. We really only want one answer for this one. Okay. Make this question optional to increase completion rates, meaning everybody may not want to supply their budget range for professional speaking. So that's the reason why it's saying just so they'll complete it, make it optional. But typically you would want to know this information to be able to qualify the individual. And so the reason it's saying for privacy is so it's a drop down. You actually have to click on it to see the various options. So let's go ahead and populate our question into there. There is the first thing. Then let's move over to our options. And our options are option number 1, option number 2, option number 3, option number 4, and then you have a not sure option. Okay. And so now what you will see is when we save that one, what was meant by privacy was when you go to that particular question, let's refresh. See how we'll go ahead and complete this one. That one isn't required. Move on to the next one. See how there are no fees here, which means once you drop down, now you can see the actual options that are wanting to be chose, right? But beforehand, there are no options here. So once you have no options, that is what is meant by for privacy, in case you're looking at your checklist and you're like, what in the world? Okay. And again, make this optional so they can complete it or not complete it. Okay. And then if you were to add a third subset, and you were to say for source tracking, this is not saying set up a different set of context questions. This is saying for source tracking, you can add on right here if you want to, or you can set up another one. I'm going to suggest that we add a new subset here, and we name this one source tracking. Okay. And then we pop down into that one. From here, we're going to ask the question, how did you hear about me? And then, of course, you're going to have multiple choice options so that they can also have another field in case they were referred and you don't have that individual's names or something like that. And you want to use this to optimize the ability for you to do more on whichever platform that they are saying that they got in touch with you. And you really only want one answer for this. So this is where you'll use the radio button and another option. So let's go and pull the radio button in. Let's go in here and ask the question. Let's go over to our options and let's pull in whatever your specific custom options may be. I've given you some general ideas here. But of course, you want to make these wherever you are currently. You could choose to have the social media platforms specified that you are currently using in addition to these other networking events if you want to get really even more granular on what it is that you're doing. And you can leave other here and include other with a field text, okay? And so again, we want to make sure we turn on the other options so that they can type into that here. So should they choose. All right. And we want to save that so that they are available to do that. Let's go over to our demo. Let's go ahead and select other, move to this screen. Let's select this one. Let's select an amount. And now you see they have the option to say, how did you hear about me? Social media, or they can select other and put that information into there. Okay. And that is the simple 1 through 5 questions that we're asking specifically for the audience interest survey that we are setting up here. And now we want to ensure that we configure some of the additional information before we allow this to be submitted. Okay. So configure survey settings. We want to set up the thank you. While we're in the process of setting that up, I need for you guys to understand, save often so you don't lose your information, right? And then specify some of the other things that you want to make sure are included on here when you get up into your settings options. So the first thing I would say is definitely make sure that sticky contact is turned on. When you have a lengthy form, always have it scroll to the top. You can also create it where you could say you only, even if they say next and they want to submit less than you're asking for because you have optionals, you can turn that on. Again, as soon as they finish, you want it to automate. You want this survey to be as easy for them to fill out as possible. So you may not want them to have to click the next button. You want them to put in an answer. And as soon as they put in the answer for everything on that page, then it will scroll for them. Then if so, then go ahead and turn on auto navigation. Okay. This, of course, is not typically going to be necessary, but sure, go ahead and have the compliant fonts turned on. So any fonts that are compliant with that person's system will auto populate. So you could be using let's see, Arial, and they don't have Arial on their system, but a compliant font will be Helvetica. So then your form will show up in Helvetica for them because you don't happen to have, or they don't happen to have Arial on their system. Okay. So this is asking the next part of your setup is asking to say thank you. So let's go ahead and copy this information here for simplicity. Thank you for your input. I'll use this to create more valuable content, and then we'll set up some of the follow-up here. So one thing we want to do is say, again, paste what it is that we want to say. The message will be, thank you for your input. I'll use this to create more valuable content. You can do a little bit of message styling in here where you can set up the background, the colors, the fonts that you want to use so that this message appears the way that you would like for it to appear. Okay. That is as simple as you can get, again, with this simple form that you're using. Again, it says enable email notification when the survey is completed. Where you want to make sure that you do that after you save often, like I said, is go back to the edit option. And now we're going to look up here in the left hand option on that page. We don't need to use this box right now, but let's look right here in the notification settings. And we want to ensure that we have an email notification turned on. So for the purposes of what I'm going to show, let's grab the name of the form, easy peasy here, and let's go in here and we can say paste the name of this survey was completed, right? And then you want to utilize here the email to field. This will let you know if you're trying to figure out exactly who is this going to go to. It'll tell you right here. The first email address is designated for the to field. Any subsequent emails will be indicated or located on that email as a CC field. So for the purposes of this, if this is the email address that we want it to come to and we have secondary emails, we can add those as well and have them reply to. And let's use the email squiggly that we would use, email.user squiggly, from our custom values that we use. Now, also you can have it send an automated email to the person who submits the survey. And this email includes a copy of the information. Now, if you don't want them to have a copy of their answers, which I don't know why you would not, then you would not turn this on. I say yes, and then I say, now say your, and then paste in the name of the form was received. Okay. And that way you can do the same thing with putting in an email address. If you put nothing in here, then it automatically defaults to this information here, to the contact's email. Again, that's if you put nothing in there. That's generally how that happens. See if we can copy it this way and paste that in there. And again, the sender name, again, the sub account that this came from. If this is left blank, it'll automatically do that. We're going to save that. All right. And so just to check it, always go back and make sure that both are turned blue and that the fields are completed that you need. Now, again, back over to our checklist. This is the way that you set up the email notification. Now, again, you can set up automatic tagging for survey respondents and then test the flow that all questions are answered. You're going to repeat this for the post event. You're also going to repeat this for the topic research survey. If you need all of these to fire inside of your account, if you do not yet have all your topics determined, or if you do not have an idea yet of what you want your feedback survey to look like, meaning your overall presentation, which part of the presentation was the most value, what could have been improved, what would you recommend for other organizations, may we use this for a testimonial, are there other topics? If you do not have these general thoughts in mind, then don't set it up. But these are very generic questions that you should want to receive responses for, and that you should also go ahead and set up that second post event feedback as well as the topic research, because you'll want to know this information. You'll want to know, the workplace challenges, the timeliness of the industry, what format would have the biggest impact. Like, you'll want to know these things to help move along your speaking career. So go ahead and set up those, get those set up so that you can send them out on auto blast. So let's check and see if I'm missing anything else here. We've set up that part. We configured your thank you, the email and notification. You definitely go through and set up your post event, your topic research. All right, so let's talk about what to do with, let's see if I can get this pulled down. Okie dokie. So let's talk about what specifically to do as far as distributing your survey. You want to send your survey to your email list. You want to include any of those additional follow-up email sequences that we have discussed in prior tutorials, the email tutorial or the SMS tutorial. And you want to ensure that any of your e-signatures that you have set up. That is your contact information that is at the bottom of any of your emails. Include your survey link there as well. You also want to utilize social media to promote your surveys. You can share them on LinkedIn for engaging posts. You can create social media content around your different survey topics. You can use surveys to start conversation inside of professional groups. You can also integrate your survey on your website, inside of a funnel, inside of a blog. You can create pop-ups that have your surveys inside of the pop-up for high value engagement. Okay. You want to make sure to keep your surveys short, limit to about 5 to 7 questions. Use a mix of those question types and make your questions extremely clear and specific. And then if you'd like to get into offering any type of incentives, then offer any of your free valuable resources for them to complete your survey. Promise to share their results with them as well as with other participants. And you can actually encourage respondents to complete your surveys by utilizing drawings or giveaways. Okay. Make sure that you always follow up when your surveys are complete, and you can do that through automation. So again, you continue to have time freedom by thanking them, sharing their results, and using that feedback to improve your services, giving credit where available to the individuals that actually gave you their valuable feedback. Okay. Again, use the surveys effectively. Create your content based on the feedback that was given to you. Use those survey responses to now create blogs, social media content, to develop new speaking topics that you have now received feedback that was desired. You can also create resources that address the common challenges that those surveys indicated to you. You can also use surveys to refine your speaking topics, to adjust your marketing messages, as well as identify new markets that may be of interest to you. Definitely, with the feedback that you receive for testimonials, ensure that you post those and use those. Definitely ask permission to use those responses. But if they completed a survey, obviously they're giving you permission to use their feedback. You can also create case studies. Okay. So, what's up next? Your surveys provide valuable data about your audience and your performance as a speaker. In following tutorials, we will discuss how to use that data to trigger more automated sequences and responses. I know specifically for the next upcoming tutorial that is publicly going to be viewable is actually the tutorial that covers social media automation. So, how you will be able to automate some of the content that you read back in a survey, as well as maybe how you're sequencing out the email information, the SMS text information, and all of that. So, again, this complete survey with regards to all of the templates that you've seen is available for you guys inside of the Brand You community, as I said before, and at all times. Go to community.martinabrityelverton.com to join us in the emerging speakers community. Go ahead and get access to others that are on this speaking journey with you. Definitely download your checklist, ensure that you have your GHL account, and get your surveys set up. Okay. The next tutorial that we are covering privately is workflows. We've done a workflow tutorial before. We will have a more advanced workflow, but specifically, even beyond that, we're going to move into social media and how to set your social media planning and posting up on automation, utilizing your speaking topics, your graphics, feedback, your surveys, email templates, and all of that. So definitely that is not one that you want to miss. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you again for your interest in everything that we are doing to serve this community of thriving and brand new. Okay, you could be brand new, you're not quite thriving yet. But we are serving you to the best of our ability to ensure you have everything that you need to be successful on this journey. So I appreciate you guys for catching this information, and know that the information that is shared with you will be of value to you. Catch you guys on the next one.